Hey, Scott Grove here from Imagine Grove, and I'm working on a really interesting project. It's reproducing these finials for a church. So if you'd like to know how I made these, was a really interesting project. We repaired them, we made a mold, we rotocasted, and gold leaf them all. So it's a really fun project. I hope you enjoy this one. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Imagine Grove, and my website. I have a free newsletter there for design tips for craftsmen. Hope you enjoy that. And thanks for getting watching. Remember to find the line, then cross it. See you next time.
Here's a before shot of Our Lady of Victory Church. It's an 1868 beautiful church. It's on a National Registry of Historic Places. The original finials were carved out of solid wood. We took the best one we could find and repaired it with automotive putty. We then recarved and primed and brought all the detail back to its original profile. After priming, we extruded clay and put it into all the inside corners. This is called a fillet and is required for mold making and casting, as sharp inside corners don't cast very well. Working on a horizontal rotating armature made applying the first coat of silicone very easy. It's very important you get a very thin coat, and I use air to blow the silicone into the deep crevices. This will avoid air pockets in your casting. After the first coat of silicone is dry, I pigment the next coat so I can see where I'm working. Again, I apply a very thin coat of silicone. It's very, very important that these first layers have no air bubbles whatsoever. I then mix up a third coat of silicone, full strength, and apply this. I don't add any pigment, again, so I can see where I'm working. The full strength silicone has a thickness of, say, thick cream, and I do also add a accelerator so it'll set up a little faster and I can keep moving. Then I apply my fourth coat of silicone, again pigmenting it, but this time I've thickened it. Allows me to trowel it on and get a 3/8 to a 1/2 inch wall thickness. I also add registration tabs. These little tabs will help lock in the mother mold. Very important when you're working with a thin glove mold. One trick I've developed is before the silicone sets up, I cover it with saran wrap or thin painter's plastic. This allows me to smooth the silicone out with my hands and get a bump-free surface. The material I use is a Smooth-On Rebound 25. It's a great brush-on silicone product. I now have to make a framework to support my rigid mother mold. Mother mold has to be done in 2 pieces, so I'm putting on dividing panels. Another trick that I use is tin foil, where the dividing panel scribe didn't match up to the glove mold precisely. It's a great little trick and keeps the job rolling. I then use clay balls and cut them in half and put them on the dividing panels. These will act as registration marks for the rigid mold to align to itself. For the rigid mold, I'm using Smooth-On's Plasti Paste. This is really lightweight and very strong. It's fast setting, it's a urethane-based product, and you can easily trowel this on and get a very strong, lightweight, rigid mold. The rigid mold will support the glove mold, keeping the form true to its original shape. When the first side is set up, I'll remove the dividing panels and apply a second side of the master mother mold. I also add wood supports to reinforce the mother mold. I like to cut the entire seam. There's all these sharp frayed edges. This makes opening or separating the mother mold a lot easier, in addition to sanding the entire mother mold, limiting any sharp pieces. Since this is a rotational mother mold, I'm adding a disc to only 1/2 of the mother mold. This will allow me to attach a bearing for the rotational mold fixture. Additional wood reinforcement is always a good idea, but I'm ready to go here. Now the fun part is separating the mother mold. You have to split it down each seam. and now remove the glove mold from the original part. This can be a wrestle for the first time. In this case, I had to cut down the two corners to give me a little more relief. There were some deep undercuts on the original part. After a little wrestling match, I was able to finally get it done, and I'm ready to make my first casting. Yahoo! After bolting the mother mold back together, and then insert the glove mold, I also installed aluminum angle iron on the top edge. This helps secure the glove mold to the mother mold and give me nice straight corners. I use Smooth-On's Task 2 Rotocast resin. It's a low viscosity, fast curing, very hard and durable resin. It's perfect for this type of rotational mold. The rotational mold, I use some roller skate wheels from my wife's roller skates, my grandfather's drill, and a bearing on the back. It was low tech but very efficient. I use an overhead gantry to tilt the mold up and down to be sure the resin coated the entire perimeter or surface. After 2 coats of the Task, I wanted to backfill the void. I used Smooth-On's Foam It expanding foam resin. And by pouring the foam in, it filled a complete cavity, giving a very lightweight and durable casting. Getting the formulation just right was a little touchy. I had to be sure I didn't put too much foam in because it would literally blow the mold apart. After about 10 minutes, I could unbolt the mold and pull out my first casting. I used a polypropylene cover to keep the foam from sticking to the cover. I also put in an overhead gantry. This is well worth the time, saved a lot of lifting. I could use the gantry to help separate the mother mold and also lift out the casting. I now simply peel off the glove mold and voila, my first casting. Came out really nice. After some light sanding, I primed all the castings with a gold primer. I then hand painted the areas that were specced out to be white. This is a lot easier than taping everything off and spraying. After the paint was dry, I taped off the white painted areas and we're ready for some gold leaf. To apply gold leaf, it requires a size. This is a slow drying varnish that has to be filtered and applied very thinly. In this case, I sprayed it on. After 12 hours, I now have a 12-hour window to apply my gold leaf. You can apply it either in patent, which comes pre-stuck to a piece of paper, or loose leaf. In this case, I wasn't using real gold leaf. We decided to save some money and use what's called Dutch metal. This is a composite and works just fine. I put together a team of craftsmen and we had a real production line going. We need to get all these done in the open time of 12 hours. We had to put a number of layers of gold leaf on to be sure it got down into all the crevices, and then burnishing it out and removing all the excess. We certainly had a lot of gold leaf left over, of course, which we kept. After the gold leaf is put on, it then needs to be burnished out with a soft brush. This smooths the gold leaf down and gives a real nice metallic finish. When that's done, I applied an oil-based glaze. The glaze is to antique the piece. You brush it down into all the deep crevices and wipe off all the highlights. This is really the way to go to make a really authentic looking casting. After the glazing is dried, I seal the entire finial with a clear coat that protects the oxidation of the Dutch metal. I then remove the masked area, exposing the white, and man, it really looked good with that contrast of white and the gold leaf. The installation went really fast. Since they were lightweight, we were able to simply screw them to a mounting board on the ceiling. We were able to get all 22 finials installed in less than a half a day. After the ceiling was painted, it was just spectacular. We worked with a firm out of Spain who did the murals of the altar and the refinishing of the altar also. You can see the before shot was just still nice, but it it was such a transformation, words can't even explain. And I'm honored to say that we received a Landmark Society Historic Award in 2019 for this project. And a handstand to celebrate.